Rob, just last week, you were watching a Battlefront 2 video that kind of caught my eye. There's loot crates coming up in Battlefront 2 when it launches in November, but also some slightly more possibly concerning aspects to this progression system. First off, lay the basis for what is going on in this game's progression.
The basis. Well, Battlefield...
It means like the foundation?
Sure. The Battlefield 1 had loot crates, but they were purely cosmetic. This time around, they are, they're the star cards, the power-ups that you got from like the previous iteration.
Did you mean to say Battlefront 1?
What did I say? Well,
said Battlefield.
I was comparing Battlefield 1, which was purely cosmetic. You know, here is now the progression with like star cards. So... How do I do this? Okay, so basically, sorry, I haven't spoken in a while.
Just to clarify,
I'll set it up real quick.
Just to clarify for people watching, this B-roll is from, I believe it was a disclaimer, like a
YouTuber, yeah, his name,
YouTuber. Just so you know,
yeah, the YouTuber. His name is Battlefront Updates.
So if that tells you anything, yeah.
So here you see basically these different types of cards. So you get a loot, which you get through credits. Credits you earn through matches. What you get from a loot crate can be anything from star cards, which are abilities. Each class has two specific, like permanent abilities, and then you have an option basically to swap out with one of these earned star cards you get through a loot crate. You can also get credits, apparently, and crafting parts. So if I were to get, for instance, like an assault training star card, which boosts my health every kill I get. There are different like fashions of that star card. So I could get a common card, a uncommon to rare to epic. Epic being like, for the example given here, I think was like an epic star card, which I can upgrade with crafting parts. An epic would grant me like 40 health for every kill, opposed to like common, which is 20. Mm-hmm. So the point being that like you randomly get like this assault card, right? And I can put that for a specific class. I can upgrade that with crafting parts that I can get through dupes, or again, like just randomly through these loot crates. So if I get a duplicate loot crate, I can convert that to crafting parts, and then I could basically manually like pick that said star card and upgrade it to epic. I think the problem, however, is that the other rarity card is legendary. Legendaries are purely random and through loot crates.
Which, like, a lot of games have legendary items, but they are cosmetic, right? Like, Overwatch has a lot of higher tier aesthetics for each character, but again, they're not going to affect the gameplay, just what you see. So that's where this becomes a little bit potentially problematic unless there's something huge we're not seeing. Because you can pay to get legendary items ostensibly through paying for credits with real world money.
So that's what you have to imagine, right? Through microtransactions, that like there will be legendary loot crates that will grant me or guarantee me a legendary star card.
They're random, but of course, the more money you pay, the more likely you are to get them through the system. So you could be playing someone that instead of paying like $100 to eventually get this specific Han Solo skin, you're going to be playing against someone who paid $100 to get this specific ability that can wreck everybody you're standing around.
Yeah,
and this is all those are like hypothetical situations, but that's what it sounds like this is moving toward, because you can actually pay for abilities and powers in game in a multiplayer setting that can potentially be imbalanced by real world money.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a matter also of balancing these cards, right? So like in another video this guy had of like 3 he put out, he was showing like I believe it was like a stealth card, but basically it would like double. He was comparing like the epic to like the common, and it was pretty significant as far as the melee damage it was doing. It was like opposed to like without the card, it was like it takes like 4 hits or like 3 hits to kill someone. And this guy was doing it in like 2.
Oh my god!
But that that can be balanced. I'm sure they're constantly already doing that. But yeah, I mean it's concerning. Like again, you said it. Like I'm all for loot crates for cosmetics. Like that's fine. But I wonder if one of the issues, I was telling someone this, is like maybe they would have definitely maybe they would have loved to have done like a cosmetic system. But you think about Star Wars and the blandness with like just original trilogy stormtroopers, like I really don't want to see pink tiger skin clone troopers walking around.
Speak
like
for yourself.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
You could do purely weapons, say like scopes maybe, like, or maybe some like different grips. I mean, but to what extent is that going to work for them? Is that going to give them money? Because they had to implement, I guess, some kind of microtransaction if all of their DLC is going to be free.
It's interesting because it's more of a bummer because it seems like Battlefront 2 was moving toward what made Battlefield 1 good in terms of its progression, right? You get weapon attachments and everything through in-game currency, but it wasn't like something that completely imbalances you and gives you extra abilities. But EA, I think, in the early 2000s kind of had this image of being a money grubber, right? With microtransactions and everything. And it seems like now nobody is pay to win because of the damage it would do to their game's image. It seems like it's so weird that they might even be considering this at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I think ultimately solutions to this that would help the situation is if I am, like, what you don't want to just like not have any form of controlled progression, right? Say I'm like obsessed with flying, and by the way, all the ships and vehicles.
I am. Say Rob might be obsessed.
Oh, by the way, I am. So vehicles also now have apparently weapon slots or like modifications as opposed to last time. Like you can kind of customize your vehicle like you can be Battlefield 1 with skins and loadouts. But say like as long as if I can focus onto a task or like a role or a class. And I can be guaranteed, say, maybe loot crates that are like specific to vehicles. Like, oh, this one's gonna have like a Naboo Starfighter skin because I was flying a lot of that, or maybe it's gonna be a weapon loadout for that. Hopefully, that is a way I think the progression can kind of like outshine from the randomness. Like if it's kind of generalized loot crates, I think that could be a possibility, but I don't know.
Well, Injustice 2 did something recently where, because you can unlock a few new abilities for each character, but they're if you don't get them randomly through a loot crate, you can also just unlock them without paying anything at levels 15 and 20, I believe, for each character or something, and you unlock those abilities. So, but there's also ranked matches where those don't, like, certain things don't, your loot and your loadout does not affect anything. It's just the base fundamental stats for each character. Same with Destiny. Iron Banner actually takes into account your loot, and so you could, presumably have worse loot than someone else. There's specific game modes where that loot plays into the game. So to me, that would be an easy way for Battlefront 2 to balance it. Like you can play this playlist or this game mode where you can have these pay to win abilities.
The best loot.
If you don't want that, you have the equivalent of like a ranked match where everybody's playing at the same level playing field. But outside of Destiny, I can't think of many shooters that do something like that. But it would make sense for this game. It would be an easy way for them to say, oh, if you don't want to do this where someone could pay $100 for this legendary ability or whatever, or this cannon slot on this tank, then go play the standard team deathmatch playlist.
With no heroes.
So maybe, I hope they're doing something like that.
That's what you want so bad.
Yeah. It seems like that would be the easiest way to justify what seems like a pay to win thing. Like maybe more will come out and I'll have to like eat my words, but that's what it seems like right now. Especially after that detailed video. You guys can go watch it. It was Battlefront updates.
Yeah,
that was the B-roll
YouTube channel, YouTuber.
But it's right now it makes me a little more worried than I was because I was really looking forward to how Battlefield 1, another DICE title, was influencing Battlefront.
Yeah, and like we were talking a couple weeks ago about like the hero system not being like just a random token that you kind of get essentially kill streaks. I was hoping that loot would be more like you were saying, Rob, like weapon customization, like, oh, if I want like an extended mag or whatever it is, like, I don't know, that it wouldn't be that, but like whatever it could be, like a scope, because if you like sniping, maybe you want to customize your weapon, and that would be different than, oh, this thing can kill you in 2 hits instead of 15, and now I've just won the match for my team.
Or you even think about it with, like, we kind of left, I felt like, E3 with like a pretty positive outlook on, even like, yeah, you mentioned heroes, like, oh, it was actually kind of easy or easier to take down Darth Maul, or like one of these heroes will now, apparently you can customize these and put legendary cards on them so they take less damage, or deliver more damage. Like, geez, that's gonna be fun. One of these guys with like all legendary cards as Darth Maul just wrecking shop. Like that is a worry and can easily be a concern.
Yeah, but then you see that advertised as pay $50 and kill Darth Maul easier. They wouldn't say that, but that's what it sounds like you could do. Yeah, so I guess I'm personally concerned. We'll see what happens with it, if they can figure out a way to make it a little more of a balanced playing field, hopefully. Or maybe I just, hopefully, need to hear more about it to understand it. But right now, the question was, is it pay to win? And it seems like it might possibly be. Might hear more about it. We will hear more about it as the game approaches its November release.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of looking forward to it for sure. The story mode especially, but we'll see how the progression and everything goes.